It's Tuesday, February 24th. In the headlines, Health and Wellness Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton urges beverage makers to cut sugar content. In business news, Bank of Jamaica cuts key interest rate. Regionally, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio to participate in high-level Caricom meeting. And in sports, Jamaica's national under-20 football team off to a winning start in CONCACAF qualifiers. And Windies complete imperious win over Zimbabwe in T20 World Cup Super 8 clash. This is the news on PBC Jamaica. I'm Simone Absalom Gale. Health and Wellness Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton is urging beverage manufacturers to reduce the sugar content in their products. The request comes as the government pushes to promote healthier lifestyles among Jamaicans. Speaking at the reopening of the Belfield Community Health Center in St. Mary, Dr. Tufton said while it is not his role to dictate to manufacturers, government policy can guide product reformulation.
Jamaica consumes more sugary drink on a per capita basis than most countries throughout the world. Sugar, it's an addiction. And because of how the drinks are formulated and the popularity of consumption, it is a major risk factor in contributing to poor health outcomes.
He notes that the World Health Organization recommends no more than 2.5 grams of sugar per 100 milliliters. But some beverages on the local market contain significantly higher amounts. The minister is encouraging consumers to examine nutrition labels and choose drinks with lower sugar content, warning that sugary beverages are linked to serious health risks. He also called on manufacturers to consider smaller single-serving sizes and pledged that public health facilities will lead by example by complying with the World Health Organization's guideline on sugar content. A new survey conducted in 10 inner-city communities in Kingston has identified domestic violence, police violence, and address-based employment discrimination as the top reported human rights violations. The 2025 study, co-published by the MICO Foundation and Jamaicans for Justice, surveyed more than 300 residents and was recently released at the MICO University College. Our reporter Denita Rodney tells us more.
The survey sampled 305 residents across 10 Kingston communities supported by focus groups. Domestic violence topped the list, with 34% reporting abuse inside the home. Police violence followed at 22.6%, while 22.3% said they were denied jobs because of their address. Project lead Sandra Gray Alvarenga says youth aged 16 to 24 were the most affected, but the least likely to seek help.
So we had 105 persons reporting incidents, experiences with domestic violence, 69 reporting experiences firsthand with police violence, and 72 persons experiencing denial of employment based on where they live. So the youth cohort, the 16 to 24, were the most affected of this group. And funny enough, they also were the most educated. They also were the ones that had the best information on what to do when you face certain difficulties. And in spite of that, they were the ones that were least likely to seek help.
She says many young people turn to family first when facing violence, and discussions reveal the continued presence of the informer for dead culture.
what were the common responses when people face violent situations is that they tell the family first, they may go to the police next, and they confront the abuser third. And what came out of that, which was a bit disturbing, was that the informer for dead culture still exists in pockets, you know. And there was robust debate on that. But there is a feeling informer for dead. So you going to report anything is just about not happening. The key barriers to reporting human rights abuses included fear of retaliation, stigma, and concerns about confidentiality. These obstacles result in underreporting, hindering justice and accountability.
The study also found intimate partner violence is widely normalized, with slightly more men than women admitting to abuse.
Domestic violence, by their own admission, is normalized. Verbal, physical interplay is recognized. The explanation given is man beat woman, woman beat man. That's normal. The further explanation given is that a woman's mouth is wicked and can kill you, and a man's fist will do the same. So they willingly accepted that there are instances of extreme provocation on one end and extreme retaliation on the other, with no mediation in between, with no tempering of the tempers.
Abused men reported stigma when seeking help, and the police violence was significantly higher among males, 31% compared to 12% of females, with youth accounting for nearly 27% of cases. Still, 8 of the 10 communities said they would only intervene in severe cases of violence against women, and child sexual abuse would likely prompt swift community action. Reporting for the news on PBCJ, I am Danita Rodney.
The St. Thomas Health Department is focused on major infrastructure upgrades, responding to disease outbreaks, and enhancing community health services in anticipation of population growth. Medical Officer of Health for the parish, Dr. Diane Smith, gave an update at a recent municipal meeting. While giving his monthly report, Dr. Smith said there has been an increase in the number of dengue cases in the parish.
Which you would expect given the rainfall with Melissa and after Melissa. But we are doing well in controlling those mosquitoes, and we have a Brito index which is 20, it's under 25. So 25 is the cut point of if you're doing well, then you are controlling the mosquitoes if you're under 25, or we're at 20 for January.
With that said, he's encouraging residents to store their water properly to prevent mosquito breeding.
We're encouraging those persons who don't have drums, because drums are a reality, to ensure that they cover the drums and that they particularly use the mesh covers. So that's one of the things that we want to push by this year, to remind people to use their mesh covers over their drums.
And on the matter of sewage disposal,
and this actual disposal onto the streets is a part of the Morambe setup, in that there is not a proper sewage system for Morambe, and this is one of the things that needs to be done, a proper sewage system for the township. There were plans for this in the past, and were discussed here at the council several times, but I think competing things, because I think we were in ahead of Portland for Port Antonio purposes. But it's something that, as the department, will take the complaint and do the investigation. But the true solution is for the town of Morambe to have a proper sewage system.
Time now for our Reggae Month feature, Reggae Facts, with Joan Andrea Hutchinson.
Reggae Facts. In recognition of their tremendous contribution to reggae music and their inestimable legacy, the University of the West Indies has conferred honorary doctorates on a number of Jamaican music stalwarts. The list includes Marcia Griffiths, OD, 2025, presented in 2026, Winston Meritone Blake, OD, 2024, Beres Hammond, OJ, 2023, Rita Marley, OD, 2015, Chris Blackwell, OJ, 2004, Ernie Ranglin, OD, 2002, and Jimmy Cliff, OD, 1997. We salute them all, as well as all the others who have received similar academic awards from local and international universities for their amazing contribution and their profound legacy that continues to redound to the perpetuation of the Jamaican music brand. Reggae Facts was brought to you with the kind support of the Jamaica Association of Composers, Authors and Publishers, JCAP, valuing your musical creativity.
Here's a quick message from the Ministry of Health and Wellness for this week's Living Healthy report.
No containers, no mosquito, no dengue. So anywhere there is a breeding site, come make we get rid of them there. Believe me, people, don't play no fool. It's the only way to be dengue proof. Use repellent and cover up. But just in case you have a high fever with severe headache, pains to nausea, take a paracetamol, drink lots of water. No take no chance, still visit your doctor. Clear the site, avoid the bite, but just in case, treat it right.
A message from the Ministry of Health, sponsored by the NHF.
Denise Williams will give us the business report.
Welcome to today's Business Report. I'm Denise Williams, bringing you the developments shaping markets, capital access, and business decision-making across Jamaica and the region. Let's get into the stories that matter. The Bank of Jamaica has reduced its key interest rate by 25 basis points to 5.5%. The decision was made by the bank's Monetary Policy Committee during meetings held on February 19 and 20. The committee says the impact of Hurricane Melissa on inflation was not as severe as first feared. Faster recovery in agricultural production and a recent strengthening of the Jamaican dollar helped to keep prices lower. Inflation is now expected to remain largely within the bank's target range over the next 2 years, with only a few temporary breaches. The new policy rate will take effect on today, February 24. The central bank also says it will continue to act to maintain stability in the foreign exchange market. For the trading period of February 23, 2026, the most actively traded securities were Radio Jamaica Limited with 56,619,146 units, representing 47.79% of market sales activities. R.A. Williams Distributors Limited, Jamaican dollar shares with 44,145,276 units, representing 37.26% of market sales activities. Lasco Manufacturing Limited shares with 4,808,272 units, representing 4.06% of market sales activity. Investor activity remained concentrated in media, medical, and distribution plays, signaling continued interest in dividend-producing and strategic assets. Turning to the foreign exchange market based on Bank of Jamaica data for February 23, 2026, Forex traders recorded significant activity with strong demand across major currencies. For the US dollar, trading margins reflected steady liquidity, with the US selling at $156.79 and buying at $155.04. For the Canadian dollar, moderate gains supported by $1.50 transaction spreads. The Canadian dollar sold for $113.57 and was bought for $112.01. For the British pound, continued volatility offered short-term trading opportunities of $7.47 in profits for the bank. The British pound sold for $212.31 and was bought for $204.84. These movements underscore the importance of cash flow timing and currency awareness for businesses managing import costs, debt servicing, or overseas exposure. For the credit report tip of the day, when you're planning to finance a fleet of vehicles, your credit report can actually become a supporting section of your business plan. Pull your credit report and use it to show lenders a track record of how you manage credit on-time payments, responsible use of limits, and stability over time. In your proposal, connect these details directly to the fleet investment. Highlight accounts that demonstrate your ability to handle vehicle loans or installment payments. Explain any past improvements in your credit behavior and show how your current obligations still leave room for the new financing. When presenting to financial institutions, lenders are looking for that link between your credit history and the projected income from the vehicles. Essentially, evidence that your past borrowing behavior supports your plan to operate assets that will generate steady cash flow and comfortably service the loan. And that's today's business report. I'm Denise Williams, bringing clarity to capital markets and strategy. Until next time, stay informed, stay intentional, and keep building forward. See you soon.
In regional news, Trinidad and Tobago's Prime Minister, Kamala Persad-Bissessar, has arrived in St. Kitts and Nevis for the 50th regular meeting of the Conference of Heads of Government of Caribbean Community. Mrs. Persad-Bissessar is expected to address Tuesday's opening ceremony, joining regional leaders, including Jamaica's Prime Minister, Dr. Andrew Holness. The summit will be chaired by St. Kitts and Nevis Prime Minister Terence Drew, while U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio is also slated to participate in high-level discussions focused on regional security, migration, trade, and economic cooperation.
Prime Minister Kamala Persad-Bissessar, accompanied by Minister in the Office of the Prime Minister Nicholas Morris and the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Foreign and Caricom Affairs Randall Karim, successfully touched down in St. Kitts and Nevis on Monday afternoon.
We just landed here in St. Kitts and Nevis. It's a beautiful sunshiny day. I'm looking forward to all the meetings that we'll have for the 50th Caricom. It's a historic time. 50 years is a long time to celebrate. There's much that as the Caricom we have done together, and there's far much more that we can do together. So happy to be back in St. Kitts and Nevis. Thank you all. Have a blessed.
Mrs. Persad-Bissessar is expected to deliver an address at the opening ceremony of the 50th regular meeting of Caricom on Tuesday, where Jamaica's Prime Minister Andrew Holness, Secretary General of Caricom Dr. Carla Barnett, and recently appointed heads of government from across the region are also expected to deliver remarks. Just before takeoff in Trinidad, Mrs. Persad-Bissessar announced Minister of Works and Infrastructure Jillian John as the acting Prime Minister, wishing her success on this critical responsibility. And the PM also took time to cut the ribbon to formally signify the launch of the premium passenger services at the Piarco International Airport before her departure, an initiative which is part of a new suite of services that are being offered to premium customers, including persons with business class tickets on Caribbean Airlines and persons using the Flyers Lounge. Among the delegation to St. Kitts and Nevis is Tobago House of Assembly Chief Secretary Farley Augustine and Minister of Foreign and Caricom Affairs Sean Sobers. And via a press statement from the U.S. Secretary of State, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio will travel to St. Kitts and Nevis on Wednesday to participate in the 50th regular meeting of the Conference of Heads of Governments of CARICOM. It noted that Secretary Rubio will engage with Caribbean leaders to advance shared priorities, including strengthening regional security, deepening cooperation to combat illegal immigration and illicit trafficking, and promoting economic growth, health, and energy security across the Caribbean. The statement added that during his visit, the Secretary will reaffirm the United States' commitment to working with CARICOM member states to enhance stability and prosperity in our hemisphere. According to a media release by the Ministry of Foreign and CARICOM Affairs on Sunday, TNT will pursue a series of bilateral engagements, including discussions with U.S. officials and representatives of Afreximbank aimed at strengthening economic cooperation, security, trade, and development. The CARICOM Heads of Government meeting will be chaired by Prime Minister of St. Kitts, Dr. Terence Drew, who assumed the chairmanship of CARICOM on January 1st, 2026. Sonolala, TTT News.
Tensions are rising across the region following U.S. President Donald Trump's warning of steep tariffs on countries that continue to supply oil to Cuba. With sanctions already limiting Venezuelan shipments, the move places pressure on Mexico and its president, while raising questions about where Belize and the wider Caricom stand. As U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio meets regional leaders during Caricom's 50th Heads of Government Summit, former Minister of Foreign Affairs Assad Shoman says regional leaders may be reluctant to openly condemn Washington, noting he speaks in his private capacity.
They have no right to do this. This is illegal. It has been condemned by the United Nations, the Secretary General of the United, and the reaction has been in Belize, our Prime Minister called it out. Remember at the House meeting when the President of Guyana was there, and he said that was wrong. Our leader of the opposition has condemned the treaty. I don't know if you carried her thing that she gave out a week or so. And today I noticed she put another post because she realized this thing is getting out of hand. The leaders of the Caribbean remain silent. And not only that, they invite one of the architects of this murderous criminal policy to come to the 50th anniversary, 50th meeting of the heads of government of Caricom and address them.
Mexico halted its shipment of oil to Cuba. It did, however, send humanitarian aid. I believe Canada is thinking about sending humanitarian aid. Should Belize?
Absolutely. I am hoping, against hope, because, as I said, they have been silent. Except, Briceño was not silent. I think he's the only one that has spoken up, the only actual leader that I know of that has spoken out against what's happening in Cuba today. But former leaders have done so. Obviously, I don't expect the Caricom to make any statement condemning the United States for this, right? They're all afraid. But let us hope that the least they will do is do what you just suggested, send a shipment of humanitarian aid to Cuba, man. People are dying, people are suffering. People that are our brothers and sisters, they're part of our region. They have been an intimate part of our development as individual countries all along.
In Antigua and Barbuda, one of the most talked about vessels in the world is now docked at the Nevis Street Pier in St. John's. The Fortescue Green Pioneer, the world's first dual-fuel ship powered by ammonia, has been in port since Saturday, drawing attention as a glimpse into the future of cleaner maritime transport. ABS News' Alicia George reports.
The 75-meter vessel that you see behind me is not just another ship docked in Antigua. In fact, it represents a global push towards the future of shipping. The Green Pioneer is on a global tour, and unlike conventional vessels that use heavy fuel oil, it's demonstrating how to use green ammonia as a dual fuel to power its engine.
This is an extension to the original plan. As many of you know, this is the world's first ammonia-fueled ship. It is powered by ammonia, therefore it has no carbon, so it's an exciting piece of technology. We've been showcasing this around the world. We've managed to change the regulations. We've had ammonia approved.
Company officials say the idea is to cut liquefied natural gas and non-green methanol out of the supply chain entirely. The vessel arrived from Trinidad on Saturday at the invitation of port manager Darwin Telemack. Hoare says Antigua was a strategic stop because of its forward-looking approach to port development.
This port has done amazing things globally as being a small nation globally, but it's been at the forefront of electrification for ports, so they're really, really right out on the front. So a year ago I first contacted your head of the port, Darwin, and to say, look, I hope one day I can come to Antigua, but I didn't really think it was likely at the time. The ship was in Singapore, so it's quite a long way away. Another small island on the other side of the earth, but just over 12 months later, we are here.
Its visit comes at a pivotal moment for
global shipping. The International Maritime Organization is finalizing stricter greenhouse gas standards as part of efforts to achieve net zero emissions from international shipping by 2050. For Antigua and Barbuda, the timing is significant since the government is actively exploring green fuel infrastructure as part of its long-term port development strategy.
We've been discussing this for a while. Why don't you come on over to Antigua? First, I have to get agreement from the government. The Prime Minister immediately said, let's go. It wasn't even a question. Why? Because we too are keen on ensuring that we participate in the process of transforming an industry that plays a very vital role in our economy, our survival, our existence.
Telemark says Antigua and Barbuda will not be left out of global decarbonization discussions.
Today, the Green Pioneer docks in Antigua. Tomorrow, perhaps, Antigua powers vessels like this. Alicia George for ABS News.
For today's sports report, we kick things off with football. Jamaica opened their CONCACAF Under-20 qualifiers campaign with a commanding 3-0 victory over Bonnier in their encounter at Estadio Regional Jean Francisca in Willemstad, Curaçao on Monday. The Group B win sees the young Reggae boys sitting atop the group on goal difference, following 2-1 victories for Turks and Caicos Islands over Cayman Islands and Puerto Rico over St. Kitts and Nevis in other fixtures. Jamaica will return to action on Wednesday when they face Turks and Caicos Islands at 7 p.m. The tournament serves as a qualification for the 2026 CONCACAF Under-20 Championship, as well as the 2026 Central American and Caribbean Games and the 2027 Pan American Games. We now look to cricket as West Indies delivered a dominant performance to maintain their unbeaten run at the ICC T20 World Cup. The Windies posted a record total for this edition of the Global Showpiece as they emphatically defeated Zimbabwe by 107 runs in their Super 8 clash at the Wahidi Stadium in Mumbai on Monday.
Shimron Hetmyer made a stunning 85 off 34 balls as West Indies began their T20 World Cup Super 8 stage. Hetmyer hit 7 sixes and 7 fours as he mixed finesse with power at a strike rate of 250 to help West Indies post a mammoth total of 254 for 6. The left-handed Guyanese was dropped twice on 9 and 70 before he was eventually caught at deep mid-wicket. Rovman Powell then upped the ante after a patient start to chip in with a 35-ball 59 before middle-order cameos from Sherfane Rutherford with an unbeaten 31, Romario Shepherd's 21 and Jason Holder's 13 provided further impetus. West Indies' total was the second highest in T20 World Cup history, behind Sri Lanka's 260 for 6 against Kenya back in 2007. Then Akil Hussein's brilliance with the ball started it all as Zimbabwe were reeling at 3 for 20 by the third over and never recovered. Hussein finished with 3 for 28, Gudakesh Moti captured 4 for 28, and Matthew Ford grabbed 12 for 27 to ensure Zimbabwe were restricted to 147 all out in 17.4 overs. Brad Evans's 43 from 21 balls, inclusive of 5 sixes, was not enough. Captain Shea Hope talked about the win as they look ahead to South Africa and India.
When you get 250 plus on the board in the T20 game, then you must be happy as a batting unit. And then with the ball being as clinical as we did in that, especially in the middle phase and power play. So I would call it more of a complete game for us, but if you want to be picky, there's always areas that you can improve. And I just believe the way we've been playing it certainly gives us a lot of confidence. And like I always say, we've got to stay in the moment. Yes, we've played well to this stage, but again, we've got another game in a few days, and we got to make sure we turn up on that day again. So great start, great confidence booster, but those games are gone. We got to look ahead now. We've got South Africa next and then India after. So we got to keep playing our best cricket. If we can get better, continue getting better. If we're doing what we're doing well, continue doing it.
Terry Andrew, ABS Sports.
And with that, we pull up stumps on today's newscast. You can follow us on our social media platforms at PBC Jamaica. Thanks for watching.